Why do some people stick to hard habits while everyone else quits after 3 days? The answer has nothing to do with willpower, motivation, or being naturally tough at all. Scientists say discipline is not a trait you have, it is a system you build. Today I will show you 7 tiny habits that quietly rewire how your brain works. Most people think discipline is something you either fully have naturally or completely lack forever. Neuroscientists studying the brain now say that belief is scientifically wrong in almost every way. By the end of this video, you will see discipline as a simple trainable skill. Society tells you discipline means suffering, grinding, and forcing yourself through pure, raw, endless pain. But brain scans from Stanford show discipline is actually about removing friction, not adding more. In 1972, psychologist Walter Mischel ran a very famous test on little children and marshmallows. Kids who patiently waited 15 minutes for a second marshmallow later earned higher test scores. For decades, people simply assumed those kids had much stronger willpower than the other children. But newer research from 2018 found something completely different was actually happening inside their minds. That single discovery flips the entire discipline myth completely upside down for everyone watching today. Discipline is not a personality trait, it is a set of learnable, repeatable, small tricks. Researchers followed those marshmallow kids for over 40 years into their adult careers and lives. The waiting kids earned higher salaries, healthier bodies, and stronger relationships decades later in life. This proves discipline learned young in one small moment can echo across an entire lifetime. A 2018 replication study found the effect was smaller once family income was properly considered. That nuance matters because discipline is shaped by environment, not just raw personal strength alone. A wealthier home naturally makes waiting easier because food and comfort already feel secure enough. So the marshmallow test was never purely about willpower, it was partly about circumstance too. This changes how we should judge people who struggle with discipline in difficult situations daily. A single parent working 2 jobs may lack time, not character, willpower, or personal discipline. Society often confuses circumstance with laziness, and that confusion quietly damages millions of people daily. Judging someone as lazy ignores the hidden systems quietly working for or against them constantly. A 2015 survey found 92% of people personally blame themselves for lacking natural discipline. That guilt is misplaced, because discipline is mostly built from small structural choices, not character. Once you understand that, self-blame quietly fades and real change finally becomes possible daily. Here's the first habit, and it sounds almost too small to matter at all. Make your bed within 60 full seconds of waking up, every single morning without exception. In 2014, Navy Admiral William McRaven gave a speech that quickly went viral worldwide overnight. He told graduates that making your bed gives you one small win before eating breakfast. That tiny win triggers a chemical called dopamine, your brain's own built-in reward signal. Once your brain tastes one easy win, it becomes hungry for a second win fast. This is called the momentum effect, and it costs you exactly $0 to start. Here's the that's insane fact hiding inside this simple morning habit right now. People who make their beds daily are 41% more likely to sleep much better. That statistic comes from a 2011 poll conducted by the National Sleep Foundation in America. One tiny action before 7 a.m. can shape your entire mood for the whole day. Making your bed sounds silly, yet the military uses it to build unbreakable team habits. West Point cadets make their beds daily as part of discipline training since decades ago. A messy room subtly signals chaos to your brain every single time you walk inside. A tidy room signals control, and your brain starts believing it controls other things too. This tiny signal spreads into how you approach emails, workouts, meals, and even relationships daily. One Reddit user in 2015 said making his bed daily fixed his depressed morning routine. Habit number 2 is called the famous 2-minute rule, created by author James Clear. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, you do it immediately, no delay allowed. Clear's book Atomic Habits sold over 20 million copies worldwide since its release in 2018. His core idea is simple: your brain fears big tasks but loves tiny, easy ones. Picture a college student in 2019 staring at a giant, overwhelming final research paper deadline. Instead of writing the whole paper, she opens her laptop and types just one sentence. That one small sentence breaks the mental wall blocking her from starting the entire assignment. 20 minutes later, she has written 3 full pages without even noticing the time pass. Your brain does not resist big goals. It resists the terrifying feeling of starting them. Shrinking the starting point tricks your brain into skipping that fear completely and almost instantly. Small physical order quietly creates small mental order, and mental order fuels real discipline daily. The 2-minute rule works because your brain treats big tasks like dangerous, scary threats. When a task feels dangerous, your brain releases cortisol, the same stress hormone as fear. Shrinking a task below 2 minutes keeps cortisol low enough for you to simply begin. Once you begin, a psychological effect called the Zeigarnik effect keeps pulling you forward naturally. This effect means unfinished tasks nag at your brain until you finally complete them fully. Starting small does not just begin the task, it quietly guarantees you will keep going. A gym in 2016 tested this by asking members to show up for 1 minute. Habit number 3 might sound strange, and it involves freezing actual cold water on purpose. Cold showers force your nervous system to practice staying calm inside real physical discomfort daily. A 2016 study in the Netherlands found cold exposure reduced sick days by 29%. Wim Hof, a Dutch athlete, built an entire method around this freezing cold water technique. Thousands of his loyal followers claim cold showers taught their brains to handle stress better. Here is the exact reframe most people completely miss about this uncomfortable morning ritual today. Society calls discomfort a bad thing, something to avoid, escape, or numb immediately with comfort. But your brain treats controlled discomfort like a gym workout for pure mental toughness training. Each cold shower is a tiny rehearsal for handling much bigger, scarier problems later on. Attendance nearly doubled because the barrier felt laughably small instead of terrifyingly huge and impossible. Cold showers are not about suffering for its own sake. They train emotional regulation directly. A 2015 Radboud University study found that participants had 35% fewer sick days annually. Cold exposure raises a hormone called noradrenaline, sharpening mental focus almost immediately after each shower. Athletes have used cold water recovery for decades to reduce inflammation and speed muscle healing. The lesson is not the cold water itself, it is proving you can handle discomfort. Once your brain learns discomfort is survivable, everyday stress starts feeling smaller and far weaker. Habit number 4 is called temptation bundling, and it sounds almost too clever to work. You simply pair something you need to do with something you already deeply love doing. Researcher Katie Milkman at the University of Pennsylvania tested this exact idea back in 2014. She only let people watch addictive TV shows while they were exercising inside the gym. Gym attendance jumped by a full 51% for the group using this bundling trick. Picture a tired office worker in 2020, dreading his daily 30-minute treadmill session again. He only allows himself his favorite true crime podcast while running on that same treadmill. Suddenly, he is not dreading exercise, he is craving the story waiting there for him. His brain stops seeing exercise as punishment and instead starts seeing it as a reward. A single 90-second cold shower daily can quietly rebuild your entire stress tolerance system. Temptation bundling works because your brain releases dopamine for the reward, not the actual task. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between craving a show and craving exercise itself. A 2017 experiment paired audiobooks with grocery shopping and increased healthy food purchases significantly overall. This trick works for chores, homework, cardio, cleaning, studying, and almost any boring daily task. The key rule is strict: you only get the reward while doing the actual habit. Habit number 5 involves writing something called a simple, if-then plan the night before bed. Instead of saying, "I exercise tomorrow," you say, "If it is 7 a.m., I run." Psychologist Peter Gallwitzer carefully studied this method across more than 94 different research experiments total. People using if-then plans were 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through completely. Your brain loves clear triggers because vague goals require constant, exhausting decision-making all day. A trigger removes the decision entirely, turning your habit into an automatic reflex response instead. Here comes another weight. That's insane fact about how many decisions your brain actually makes. The average adult brain makes around 35,000 small decisions every single day without stopping. Each tiny decision quietly drains a limited actual mental resource that researchers call decision fatigue. Removing decisions through if-then planning saves that precious mental fuel for much bigger challenges later. Break that rule once, and your brain quickly learns the reward no longer requires effort. If-then plans work because they remove the moment of decision, which is the hardest part. Willpower researcher Roy Baumeister proved decision-making itself physically drains mental energy throughout each day. That drained state is called ego depletion, and it makes bad choices far more likely. An if-then plan simply skips the depleted decision entirely by pre-deciding everything the night before. Soldiers, surgeons, and pilots all use pre-planned checklists to quickly remove risky decisions under pressure. Your daily habits deserve that same simple checklist mindset instead of relying on tired willpower. Habit number 6 is brutally simple. Remove the option to fail before you even start. This is called environment design, and it beats raw willpower almost every single time tested. Picture a man in 2017 who badly wanted to stop eating sugar late at night. Instead of relying on willpower, he simply stopped buying sugar at the local grocery store. Within 3 weeks, his late-night cravings dropped because the option did not exist anymore. Researchers call this choice architecture, quietly shaping decisions long before temptation ever gets a chance. Willpower is a limited battery, but your environment can work for you constantly, forever, free. Environment design always beats willpower because willpower is a finite resource that runs out daily. A 1996 study found judges granted parole far less often right before their lunch break. That single study proves even trained professionals fall to decision fatigue under the right conditions. If judges struggle, expecting perfect willpower from yourself all day is simply unrealistic and unfair. Instead, redesign your kitchen, desk, and phone so good choices require the least possible effort. Put healthy food at eye level and hide unhealthy snacks in hard-to-reach cabinets. Delete distracting apps from your phone's home screen so temptation requires extra annoying clicks first. Habit number 7, the final one, is called complete identity-based habit change entirely today. Instead of saying, "I want to run," you simply say, "I am someone who runs." This single language shift changes how your brain processes the habit completely from the inside. Researchers at Stanford found identity-based language increased habit consistency by 38% overall. Your brain protects your identity fiercely, even more fiercely than it protects simple daily goals. Once discipline becomes part of who you truly are, quitting feels like betraying yourself completely. Identity habits work because humans are wired to protect their self-image at all costs. A 2011 Stanford study found labeling people voters, instead of asking to vote, increased turnout. That single word swap proves identity language quietly changes behavior more than direct instructions could. Calling yourself a runner works better than telling yourself to run because identity feels permanent. Permanent identities survive bad days, while temporary goals often collapse after one single missed attempt. Start small identity shifts like calling yourself a reader after finishing just one single page. Over time, these tiny identity shifts compound into a completely different version of yourself entirely. Now, here comes the twist most people watching this video never actually expected to hear. All 7 of these habits share one hidden secret buried underneath their simple, plain surface. None of them rely on motivation because motivation is proven to be wildly unreliable daily. A 2019 study found motivation levels swing wildly within the exact same single day repeatedly. People who wait for motivation before acting are statistically less consistent over the long time. People who build systems act the exact same way whether motivated or completely exhausted instead. This is the uncomfortable truth society rarely tells you about successful, disciplined people everywhere today. They are not more motivated than you, they simply removed motivation from the entire equation. Motivation researchers at Yale surprisingly found motivation actually follows action, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel motivated before starting, but that order is backwards and misleading. Action creates motivation through momentum, not the reverse, which is why starting small matters much. This single reversal explains why professional athletes still train hard even on their laziest days. They do not wait for motivation, they trust the system they built before feeling tired. This is exactly why systems consistently beat motivation across almost every disciplined person studied worldwide. But there is a dark side hiding underneath all of this tidy, motivational packaging today. These same tiny systems can quietly become rigid, obsessive, and mentally exhausting if left unchecked. Some people take identity-based habits so far they panic after missing just one day. Psychologists call this the what the heck effect, where one small slip triggers total collapse. A 2013 study found people who missed one gym day were more likely to quit. The danger is not failing once, the danger is treating failure as total identity destruction. Extreme identity attachment can turn healthy habits into anxious, joyless obligations instead of genuine choices. A 2020 study linked habit tracking apps to increased anxiety in 11% of users. Tracking every single habit obsessively can shift discipline into unhealthy control and constant self-judgment. The goal is progress, not flawless perfection, and that difference matters more than people realize. A 2017 Harvard study found self-compassion after failure predicted faster recovery than harsh criticism. People who forgave their own slip-ups returned to healthy habits nearly twice as quickly. Perfectionism kills more habits than laziness ever does, because one slip feels like total failure. Remember that even elite Olympic athletes miss training days without quitting their sport completely afterward. Discipline built on shame collapses, but discipline built on curiosity tends to last much longer. Treat each habit like a science experiment, not a moral test of your personal worth. If a habit stops working, adjust it calmly instead of blaming your entire flawed character. Discipline should always feel like a flexible tool, never a rigid cage locking you inside. The healthiest disciplined people treat missed days as simple data, not moral failure at all. If you build these habits with kindness instead of harsh punishment, they last far longer. Rigid perfection breaks quickly, but flexible consistency survives bad weeks, bad months, and bad years. So here is your validation if you have ever felt broken for lacking discipline before. You were never broken, you were simply missing a system built on tiny, working mechanics. Your brain was never against you, it was just running on outdated, vague, confusing instructions. It was never about being naturally strong, gifted, or born with some rare superhuman willpower. It was always about small, boring, repeatable systems simply working quietly in the background daily. But here is a quiet warning before you rush off to build all 7 habits. Trying all 7 at once will overwhelm your brain and likely trigger complete burnout fast. Pick just one single habit, run it for 2 full weeks, then quietly add another. Small, boring, repeated actions always beat big, dramatic, unsustainable bursts of motivation every single time. Ask yourself honestly which single habit from this list could change your life first today. If this video shifted how you see discipline, subscribing helps this channel keep researching more. We dig through real studies so you get plain truth instead of empty motivational fluff. Every study cited here comes from real published research, not vague internet myths or guesses. We believe truth builds trust, and trust keeps this channel honest for every single viewer. In the next video, we reveal why some people relapse at exactly 66 days later. That number comes from real habit research, and almost nobody sees the pattern coming today. Discipline was never about being tough, it was always about being cleverly, quietly, patiently lazy.